of Coffeyville. So we're watching for a tornado coming through this area right here. There's the Kenton community. Here's Silver Cross, which I just mentioned. There's Frankville. Here's Bigby. Those are areas that are all included in the tornado warning. We're looking for rotation within that line, and Matt is illustrating it right here near the Dunbar area near Healing Springs. This is going to be just northwest of Millry, and it's tracking across extreme northern Washington County, also southern Choctaw County near Bladen Springs included within this warning. A lot of folks are still watching us up in the Bladen Springs area, and you can see there's the Loper community, the Millry community, and Dunbar. And we've got it moving out away from Mahaffey, which I just mentioned, which is right near the actual rotation area, and then it's going to track this tornado or possible Doppler radar indicated tornado across northern Washington County. The atmosphere has been primed for severe weather today, but we've had a capping inversion at the 850 millibar level, which puts a lid on severe weather development. That's held strong all day. So we've had this thing holding off to the west. It's been an epic tornadic line back over parts of southern Mississippi. Now we're starting to get a piece of it, but this is more of a squall line type feature. And we're finding some rotation hidden and embedded within that squall line. And Matt, I'm going to send it over to you. You can talk about some of the stuff you're pointing out here on our Velocity product as we have team coverage here for you. We've been raring to go with team coverage most of the day. Fortunately, we haven't needed to do that, but here we are at the top of the 9 o'clock newscast with the tornado warning. Matt?
Yeah, Jason, just keeping an eye here on the velocity. It's not a real tight couplet like what we'd see with a strong tornado. It's definitely more of a broad area, but it's there. We've got some strong winds in and around this, looking at around probably about 60 miles an hour or so. You got 55 there on the board. So we're looking at some strong winds right in the very northern part of Washington County, like Jason was showing us, up around Millry. And this is going to track off into, let me go and get a good arrow up here. It's going to track off this direction, so this will be very near Coffeyville. All right, so looking at some of the information coming in from the National Weather Service. All right, so they are saying that they're seeing it starting to tighten up essentially. So we're going to be continuing to watch this as it continues to move here off to the east near Bladen Springs and Coffeyville. So if you're in Coffeyville, you're out ahead of this thing. You need to be taking shelter right now because this thing is likely tightening up. See if we can get another velocity image there. And the National Weather Service saying it's likely strengthening here. So we're going to keep a very close eye on this. Once again, we're talking about Millry from over towards Coffeyville. Let me get back to the radar so you can see the actual rain here. Get up there on that so you can see the rain and the lightning. Once again, it's for this area right here, Jason, that we're looking at. That's the area, and there's a little bit of an inflow notch, and the National Weather Service saying that's looking like that's helping to strengthen this a bit.
So we've got a tornado warning there for northern Washington County. Let's get an overview of this line. I want to show you what's going on over the entire area and talk about some of the different advisories, some of the different watches and warnings that we have in effect across the Gulf Coast. So right now, everything in yellow is in a tornado watch, and this has been through the day a PDS tornado watch, meaning a particularly dangerous situation, something that a lot of times the National Weather Service will assign to a tornado watch when it's in an area that's especially conducive for tornadic activity, specifically strong tornadoes or long track tornadoes. And so most of our area, at least from Baldwin County back across into our Mississippi counties and up to Monroe County, in yellow here, meaning tornado watch, meaning conditions are favorable for tornadoes. Then we have in orange a severe thunderstorm warning, and in northern Washington County, southern Choctaw, and then over here into Clarke County, we are included in this tornado warning for a area of rotation that has been indicated by Doppler radar that is working through Clarke County. And we're keeping an eye on it. We've got a crew in Chatham right now. You can see right now Chatham's looking pretty good. That cell is to the north of Chatham, up 17, up around the Millry area, but it's not far from Chatham. So we may start to see some lightning strikes there. Got a tree down right now on South Florida Street from some of the local wind gusts that we've been seeing. You can see Mobile is a long way away from these storms. You can see the distance between Chatham and our rotation area is about 13 miles right now, so we'll keep an eye on it. Chatham is not included in a tornado warning right now, but it is getting closer to this thunderstorm line. Wouldn't be a bit surprised to see potentially some wind gusts here, Matt, that could be a problem. Even if we're not seeing a tornado, we may clearly be getting severe thunderstorm winds. You can see a little bit of a bowing out signature right there. And then behind that bow, you've got the couplet here that you said is starting to tighten up a little bit. That would be your inbound, outbound velocity. That indicates rotation. So that's up in northern Clarke County, up above Milry, north of Chatham, heading up 17. That's where we've got the area of concern there. And a lot of times trying to find these tornado warnings can be tricky when they're embedded within a squall line. They can be a little bit more difficult to detect versus when you have an individual supercell thunderstorm. When the thunderstorms are embedded within the line, a lot of times that can limit our ability to detect rotation. But we're looking at it too. The other problem is this thing's pretty good ways away from radar. So here's the squall line right here. There's Mobile. This thing is showing a 1 hour loop. This line has really been stalled to the west. We had problems with tornadoes near Prentice and Bassfield, Mississippi back in this area here earlier today. And looking back up into Clarke and Washington counties right now, we've got that line right there that's starting to get closer to the Tombigbee River. It's beginning to move, but we're not out of the woods, obviously. We're going to have to see this thing sweep all the way through the area, and that may be happening in Mobile around 11:30 tonight or even midnight, moving into the inland areas now, and it really may be the early morning hours before we finally see this line chugging on through and clearing the Florida Panhandle. So we've got a ways to go. And talking a little bit more about the tornadoes that we had earlier today over southern Mississippi, Matt, we had an impressive long track tornado that unfortunately was a deadly event here in Mississippi. Talk more about that.
Yeah, Jason, we're talking about actually two of them that were over here north of Hattiesburg, in and around Laurel, Mississippi. There were actually two tornadoes that went down the same path. One of the tornadoes, the National actually Storm Prediction Center estimated with radar 170 to 205 mile per hour winds. That would be a solid EF4 to EF5 tornado. They also estimated with the radar that it lofted debris 28,000 feet up in the air. That's higher than Mount Everest. So to give you an idea of the power of that storm, that was actually one, like I said, two different powerful tornadoes that went on through here in north of Hattiesburg up towards Laurel, Mississippi. So they're experienced a lot of damage up that way. We have heard of fatalities. So there's going to be a lot of cleanup and a lot of issues up there north of Hattiesburg. So they got some of the worst of it today. You can see a bunch of other storm reports, mostly for high wind gusts and that sort of thing here across the deep south. But that was definitely the worst. Those two tornadoes there north of Hattiesburg, one of them likely an EF4 to EF5, so a massive tornado that was on the ground for many, many miles. So these storms have had history, and we're now having this main line move it to an area where we haven't had severe weather earlier, so there's still some, juice left to the atmosphere for these things to work with. So that's why we're going to have to keep a close eye on this line, Jason.
Yeah, and the problem here with this particular tornado warning is that the area of rotation is moving to the east at 55 miles an hour. There's not a lot of time to prepare when you have a tornado that's moving that fast. So if you're in this red box right here, that's where you got to watch out. Northern Washington County and into Clarke County for the possibility of rotation coming across and very quickly advancing on off to the east. It's definitely a severe thunderstorm. There may be enough rotation in here to prompt a tornado as well. I'm just going to have to keep watching this area right in through here that's now, when we're at the top of the newscast, Matt, when we were tracking this thing, and we're looking for debris here, by the way, unfortunately right now not seeing a debris signature. This particular cell here was over Mahaffey, and in 10 minutes, it's all the way over to Silver Cross. So this thing is moving very, very quickly. It's progressing into Clarke County now. We're starting to get the leading edge of the lightning and thunder near Thomasville right now. It'll begin to track more along Highway 84 down towards Grove Hill. Looks like this warning is going to extend almost to Grove Hill. Hopefully we will not find a tornado within this area, but we're treating it as such. I definitely wanted to cover that for you. So that's what we have going on right now. Tornado warning Washington and Clarke counties, the extreme northern portion of the county, part of it right on the Choctaw County, Washington County line. and we'll continue to keep an eye on this. In the meantime, we'll go to Michael right now for some of the news updates, important news updates on this Easter Sunday, and we'll come right back as we get new information on this tornado warning. Michael?
Jason, you talked about the damage that's already been done. An earlier round of these Easter storms devastating parts of the South, one after the other. Massive tornadoes striking multiple states today, the hardest hit being Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. At least 6 people have died in Mississippi as rescue workers continue searching for more casualties tonight. A deadly severe weather outbreak lasting for hours Easter Sunday, leaving homes destroyed across the South. Tornadoes with winds stronger than 150 miles per hour roaring from Texas to Alabama. This twister just one of more than a dozen. So far, 6 people confirmed dead in Mississippi.
We heard the rumble and we started looking and we saw the tornado. We could tell it was going to be about a mile or so south of us, but you could hear it and we knew that it was going to be bad.
Across the South, more than 100,000 people are without power. This video coming in from just north of Birmingham, where people are only beginning to survey the damage and power of this system as it moved from state to state.
As soon as it got east of us, which I put my children in the bathtub and covered them up with some blankets, but as soon as it got east of us, we got out to see what we could do to help people, and that's when we saw how bad it was.
Easter Sunday for millions rocked with worry as the threat locally continues into the night. Well, still ahead on Fox 10 News at 9, continuing coverage of the devastating storms tracking across the South. Warnings just issued in parts of the Fox 10 viewing area. We'll be right back.
In effect for northern Washington County. We've taken a portion of Washington County out of that polygon there. And here's the update. This is in the area in red. It's very close to Coffeyville right now. The rotation's a little hard to detect on radar, but there is the possibility of a Doppler radar indicated tornado near Silver Cross that's about to come across the Tombigbee River. This warning is in effect until 9:45. This is the area of concern. We've got right there the squall line coming through the leading edge of it in Coffeyville. we definitely have a severe thunderstorm type situation going on. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for this area, but also right there along Highway 84 where Matt has highlighted here, a possible rotation area that we're watching, and this is going to be between Silas and Coffeyville. The rotation area is actually not in our DMA right now. It's over into Choctaw County, but it is moving to the east right now at 55 miles an hour. It's about to cross the Tom Bigby near Coffeyville, a little north of there, and it's going to keep tracking generally over towards parts of northern and western Clarke County. So that's an update right now. We're going to keep watching this one as it gets closer to moving back into our forecast area, and we'll keep you posted on severe weather throughout the newscast and throughout the night here on Fox 10 News.
Rotation couple was considered Choctaw County right now. It's not in our DMA. It's about to re-enter the DMA, but it's super marginal. And I don't want to get a full bore wall on this. We've got too much important news and other weather stuff to talk about. I mean, the line's active. We're going to do a good job. But I don't know if it's a... No, I agree. It's not a parking line tornado. I'll let you make that call. Okay. That's we have not had any light in the Midtown Mobile, correct? No. No. We have a non-thunderstorm wind of 49%. Exactly. Yeah.
as they make their way into our area. Jason.
Well, one of the things we were just talking about, I was talking to meteorologist Matt Barentine about this just now, and this line may be intensifying some because it's been stuck right there where you saw the damage in Mississippi for a while. It's been stalled. Well, this is a new area of the atmosphere that's not been worked over by storms. It's been in an area where we've had a capping inversion today, but there's been plenty of residual heating still left over from the day. A lot of instability over Mobile County, over Washington County, Clarke County, Monroe County, Greene, Georgia, Jackson counties right now. The yellow counties here are all under a tornado watch. We've got a tornado warning right now for an area of rotation and also severe thunderstorm warnings in the areas in orange. So lots to talk about here in our weathercast this evening. No surprise that we're getting severe weather in the area. We've been talking about it for several days. The potential is there. We have the instability. We have the rotation with height in the atmosphere, the vertical wind shear, and we also have the abundant moisture that's going on out there right now. In fact, we've had non-thunderstorm wind gusts up around 50 miles an hour within the last hour ahead of this line. So we've got a squall line out there. We see these a lot of times in the springtime. This squall line is advancing into our area now, and along that squall line we have a rotation area that we've been watching. It's not very well defined. It is moving on off to the east right now at approximately 55 miles an hour. So here's Coffeyville here, and again, not really a very well defined inbound outbound signature, but definitely the potential along this bow right here for some thunderstorm wind gusts that could exceed 70 miles an hour. It's made it across the Tombigbee River around Coffeyville. It's made it about halfway between Grove Hill and Coffeyville on Highway 84. There's the Grove Hill area here, and so it's starting to make some progress. It looks like it's made it a little bit further over past the Silitpa Creek area, and it'll continue tracking on off towards Fulton. Thomasville, we've got this line here just to our west. That's the leading edge of the squall line right there, and then embedded with it, heavy rain and a lot of cloud to ground lightning that is occurring. We also could see potentially some small hail in this area. This is a situation where we're not seeing individual thunderstorms right now, but instead of an individual supercell, we've got a squall line, lightning and thunder. Mobile's still a ways to go before it gets into our area. It's 9:24 right now. It could be 10:30, 11:30 before it gets into Mobile. May be a while here. The southern edge not moving as quickly and also not quite as strong as the severe potential that is further to the north. Now, Matt just popped up the Futurecast, and we're looking at the timing on this. By 10 o'clock, we've got to get closer to Citronelle, so that'll be in about 30 minutes. Then we'll advance that towards 11 o'clock and look at things beginning to break out here around Mobile. It actually shows two lines forming up, so we'll have to watch it as it moves into that part of the atmosphere that did not see as much rain today. Watch it blow up over Baldwin County around midnight. And then finally, by around 2 in the morning, we had this thing over into Okaloosa County and almost completely out of the area. It could be a long night. We're going to stay right here with you on Fox 10 News. So we're going to be covering each warning as it comes down. We'll have coverage on into the night. If your smartphone goes off and you receive an alert, which is a great way to get severe weather information, or your weather radio goes off or you hear sirens, you can check in with Channel 10 and we'll keep you posted on the very latest. Right now, one warning in the area for a possible tornado. Right now, not confirmed. It's moving across northern Clarke County up along Highway 84 and advancing on off to the east. I'm going to send it over to Matt, get his take on the warning that we have right now, and then we'll continue on with our newscast. Matt?
Yeah, so we're keeping an eye on, once again, it's like you said, it's really hard to pick out any rotation up here in this storm. But regardless, whether you got a low-end tornado or you got 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts here along this, what we call a Boeing line, it will still do damage, still a nasty storm. And obviously, these things have a ton of lightning with them as well, so putting on quite the show. A lot of lightning, of course, that can be damaging as well. And this is all going up through the Coffeyville area in Clarke County, head up towards Thomasville. You're about to get in on this as well. Grove Hill, you're not too far behind. Milroy's getting in on the action right now, a real heavy thunderstorm. And also back here, the whole line, as we keep going on down, this is typically what we see with a linear line of storms, is that we get an entire line where the whole thing gets a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's what we're seeing right now. And we're going to have to watch as this continues, like Jason said, to move on over into Mobile County, into other Baldwin County. Once it moves over a little bit, it's going to find basically an untapped reserve of energy that we haven't had the storms today. And so now it's going to be able to use that energy to continue to intensify. And that's what the Weather Service is warning about, that we need to continue to watch this line as it continues to slide on through, as it's likely to continue to intensify. And we could very well see more warnings here over the next couple of hours.
And one thing I want to add too is that before we go back to Michael with some news coverage with a lot of important news headlines to bring to you as well, I want to let you know that once this line moves through about 2 or 3 in the morning, we're going to see great weather for about 4 or 5 days. So it should be a really great work